Welcome to the Crazy Town Podcast. I'm Jonas.
I'm TNT Dynamite, the explosive one. Let's crack into another one.
TNT.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked sometimes on this podcast about kind of like financial crimes and corruption in like the stock market or financial industry or banking or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're a hodgepodge podcast.
Yeah. So like we usually talk about America and how that is and how it seems like that. So, China.
Yeah.
They do things a little differently over there.
Love them to death.
Like in the U.S., it's come. I mean, even back in 2008, like because like the whole 2008 financial banking crisis, only one person went to jail for that at all, and I think it was because he admitted guilt. But normally, like a bank is a corporation, like so they're just like the people aren't liable, although the people are the ones doing the crime. The business isn't doing a crime on its own.
Yeah.
Like so. So a lot of times, they make $10 billion and they have to pay $300 million in a fine. You're like, yeah, we still ended up $9 billion in a profit. Like, there's it's a cost of doing business at that point. So China, they're like, maybe we'll set an example.
Good, lovely people over there in China.
Wow,
very fair.
China,
fair and lovely people, right?
So Liu Liang, former party chief and chairman of Bank of China, was sentenced to death.
I'm sorry, what?
Sentenced to death.
What did he do? He kill people?
For accepting a large sum in bribes. So he didn't even do financial crimes so much as he accepted bribes, and it was about $16 million in bribes US. Then it was 121 million yuan. And then to illegally approve loans amounting to 3.3 billion yuan. So at that breakdown, probably like $500 million US, which isn't. I mean, it's a lot of money,
That's a lot of money.
But it's not billions of dollars. Anyways,
is it more
billions of Chinese dollars?
Is it worth more than a life?
So he was sentenced to death with a 2-year reprieve. I'll explain that in a minute. Stripped of his political rights for life, and had all of his personal assets seized.
Makes sense.
He also received a 10-year prison term and 150,000 won fine for illegal loan issuance.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
His illicit gains and their proceeds will be seized and handled over to the state treasury.
Yeah,
so not only did they
sense.
sentence him to death, sentence him to jail, seize all his personal assets, they took all the money he made. That is the biggest. I mean, the death is probably the biggest point. Second biggest point is that
apparently not.
They took all of the money that they made.
Wait, how do you get death and prison?
Well, let me get to that in a second. So you got to keep them biting, man. They're like, how do you do it?
I'm biting right now.
I've always said, if they want that shit to stop, and even when they penalize companies like Facebook and stuff for advertising and all that stuff, it's like, take all the money they made and then give them a 10 or 20% fine on top of it.
Oh, okay.
So you take all the profit and then you get a real... Because if you just take a chunk of the profit, you're not hurting any... They're not hurting the company.
Yeah, it becomes just like how much is the... It's like that thing of... if the crime is worth committing, it's worth committing.
Like if I'm going to end up with $10 million, but I know I'm going to go to jail for 3 years because of it, is that worth getting 10 mil when you come out to spend 3 years in jail? Yeah. But anyways, so
how do you get prison and death? How do you do that?
In China, I don't know if they do. I doubt they're doing this in the U.S. But in the 2 years, so it's a. Sorry,
is this like a Shintow thing?
Because we don't ever give somebody the death sentence unless we're going to put them to death. Unless they sit there, obviously they sit there forever in appeals. A 2-year. It's what it ends up meaning is a 2-year suspended sentence where execution is only carried out if the convicted commits a further crime during the suspension period. So he has. So it's basically like probation, but if you mess up, you don't go to jail, you die.
So this isn't really the death penalty.
It is, because if he does anything else, he gets killed.
In America, if we give somebody the death penalty, yes, they sit in prison for years and appeals, but they die.
Right. Well, this guy, but in our country, you get parole and you just mess up and go back to jail. This is you mess up, you die. And then, but what it says is after the period, the sentence is automatically reduced to life imprisonment or a fixed term based on the behavior. So I think, I think the 10-year sentence is like what he got, but it's like if you do anything else in 2 years, you die.
It's insane. It's a very weird system, right?
It's like, well, I don't know if he gets the 10 years plus life. Like, like he got the life for the death sentence / life for that, and then the additional sentence for the other crime. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, you get 3 life sentences plus 30 years, and you're like, why? But like, I think it's kind of like that. It didn't explain it very well, but like I get it now that it's.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like in a way it's more lenient. But in a way, I feel like it's not.
I will tell you.
It's very weird.
I would fully support.
It's like a lateral.
I can't say fully support because it's kind of messed up. But like, if criminals were like, I get out of jail, but if I mess up, I die. Like, you're on parole now. But instead of going back to jail if you screw up, you get killed. People about to be on the straight and narrow.
What? Why? But you can't kill them unless they get the death penalty. You can't just like, this isn't Escape from L.A. where I can just put like an exploding collar around your neck, my man. What are we doing?
I don't know.
Why you always want to turn America into some dystopian like Mad Maxian society?
Like Gladiator.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's out there just fighting each other.
Anya Taylor-Joy is not going to come here with one hand and save us all. It's not happening, my brother. It's not going to happen. You didn't even see that movie. You really should have. It's a good movie. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. It feels like a lateral to me because, like I said, American justice system, if you get death row, you're on death row. The only way you're getting off is if you can appeal. But even if you appeal, you tend to get life in prison. So you can't, even if you escape the death penalty, but we're going to go through with it. That's the end goal if you can't find a way to get out of it. And most of the time, people who get those types of crimes,
it might be 20 years later, but you do get killed.
But this is like, all right, you're sentenced to death. We're not going to do it. As long as you don't fuck up again. Like,
and here's the thing. Like, I feel like if you're a shady effer who's doing like shady stuff and you get caught, and then they're all like, just don't do it again, we won't kill you. I'd be like, all right. Like, I'm done. I tested
but
my
he
luck.
Still gets the jail time. I don't know if he's getting, like you said, you don't know if he's getting the 10 years or he's just getting a life sentence. Because I feel like
and they froze. I mean, they took all of his assets, so he has nothing.
That's fine.
And he has like no political whatever. So I think he's basically like a ward of the a prisoner of the state. Like he has no political like.
Yeah, but like I mean, that was like so. I don't know that type of like just like superficial shit really don't matter to me. But my freedom, like your rights, are one thing. Money, you can take that, you can get it back. Notoriety, you can take that, you can get it back. Freedom, that's something that is, we fought over.
Freedom and time, man.
Yeah, brother.
Those are the two most valuable resources on the planet.
So I don't know, man. I guess honestly, I feel kind of like that was a justified sentence. It's a good sentence. Because people would want him to die. The people who he affected of stealing money and taking bribes, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like think about all those people that lost everything in 2008. All those people be like, oh, you gave all those bankers like a potential death sentence if they mess up again, and they ruined like millions of lives. Like people's lives were ruined based on their shitty practices and their unethical like decisions and ways they leveraged risk. Like
fair.
Like people would have loved for someone to be like, you got the death penalty because of this. Because like I'm sure there were people that killed themselves because of what happened to their finances in 2008.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they lost everything and they're like, I'm just going to kill myself. I guarantee somebody did.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like
definitely always
when the stock market crashes, people kill themselves because they lose all of their mony. Like
would Brett Favre have got a death penalty, or is that
for
not
stealing from welfare? He claimed he didn't know though.
He claimed he didn't know.
That's like every criminal ever. I didn't do it.
Even though they had the text messages, huh?
Yeah, he's all like, steal from these poor AMFers. Like that's what he's. I don't know if he said.
No, see, when you're stealing from the rich or stealing from the poor to give to the rich, man,
you're a new version of low.
Exactly.
If you're stealing from the poor to give to the rich, like come on, man. Like,
so I mean, good for him because he got the death penalty, but not really.
Yeah, I am all for stricter penalties on like banking and stock and all that kind of fraud because it's the only way it's going to stop.
Yeah, and I feel like this is an inventive way of it happening.
Right, and like that also tells me like say I'm a current Bank of China employee and I'm doing shady-ish, and you see that sentence get handed down, I'd be like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah, but I don't know who else is doing it like him. This guy was doing it like nobody else. My man had 500 million in the game.
Yeah,
you know?
He's frauding out LeBron James. So
he was living a life.
Yeah, so cool. Well, anyways, that's all the time we have for today's episode. Go to thecrazytown.com, subscribe for Jonas.
TNT.
We out.